Hello again, welcome, and thank you so much for coming to our annual general meeting. I can see lots of you just wrapped up, so I'm now wrapped up this time as well. I think we might suggest the BES, never mind about t-shirts, we need branded rugs, I think, for if we come into this auditorium. So welcome to the 44th annual general meeting of the British Ecological Society. It is the highlight of the conference. That's the spirit. So we're going to go with this. So, oh, I've got the zapper. Right. So, and this is the top item, minutes of the past AGM, which was the 43rd AGM, which we held on Wednesday, the 13th of December in Belfast. Who was in Belfast? It's fantastic, wasn't it? Yeah, these have been circulated before, so what I'm looking for, and I can't see you, so if you put your hand up, please tell me. So, proposer and a seconder. Who do I have? Keith, I can even, there's something going on that means that you're, yeah, Keith Kirby is the proposer. Lovely, thank you. Seconder? I honestly, with the lights, can't see. Can I have a paw up? Oh, I can see. Rick. Thank you. Sorry? Still can't hear that. Sorry. Right, so we now need you all to vote, please. So, you all know how to do this now, I hope. So, there is your QR code. And please scan it. And then could you please vote to accept or not accept the minutes of the last AGM. The numbers are going up, so I'm just going to wait until we get a good number. Wait and see, no phones are going up, scanning the code. So everyone is doing. Okay, I think we've paused at 85. Thank you everyone who took the time to do that, and I think we can now, ooh, it's still going up. We can, Julie, take those minutes as being accepted. Thank you very much, and I think we're going to take 90 as the final for with none against. Thank you very much for that, everybody. And now, as our second item, I'd like to introduce Karen Devine, our Director of Communications and Inclusion, to give a short overview about our activities to address inequalities in ecological research, and in particular, our focus at the international level. Karen, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much for allowing me to speak about this. So this is a piece of work that I began with Yadvinder Mali and with Lionel Yam last year. And at the end of the year, we had spent a lot of time talking to our colleagues internationally to think about how the BES can really move forward in addressing international inequities, particularly in ecological research. And the Board of Trustees at the end of December 2023 had agreed 5 big promises that we wanted to focus on. And those were 5 goals around equitable leadership, around equitable communication, equitable publishing, equitable membership, and equitable support. That had really come from work both with our colleagues across the international community, primarily in South America and Africa and South Asia, and we wanted to think about how we could really do things in a practical, meaningful way in the next few years. So what I'd like to do is just present a little bit of what we have been doing in 2024 and what our plans for 2025 will be, because our goals are short-term, they're medium-term, and some of them are very much longer-term, really working with the whole of the international community and across the whole sector as a whole in terms of academic publishing and funding and research. So I've covered a number in slightly different orders to the way that I explained them, but in in terms of how we support people, we made a promise with a brand new grants portfolio that 51% of our funding across all of our grants would be committed to Global South. And I know that the Global South is not a great term, but we were really looking at South American, African and Asian countries. And actually, having gone through the first 2 rounds and the first year of our new funding portfolio, we've successfully given 54% of our funding to those countries, and we hope that that will continue in the future. We haven't yet published our new memberships, but we will be introducing a new membership category which will provide far more equitable membership rates for people from lower income countries, and that will come in quite early in 2025, but that again has been backed up by a lot of hard work from our membership team over the last 12 months in what does an affordable membership fee look like if you are not getting the kinds of salaries and stipends that are available in the UK. Our publishing team has been working incredibly hard and this year really focused on how we better promote the waivers associated with open access publishing and have spent a lot of time making the content and communications around those waivers more accessible to more people. Across our publications, we recognise that artificial intelligence provides huge opportunities in terms of providing resource and around breaking down language barriers, and we now offer rightful to all of our authors publishing in any of our journals. And then finally, one piece of work that we've really tried to focus on is work with our community to think about how we bring leadership from across the international community into driving forward the BES strategy and work that we want to do in the next few years. Moving into 2025, we're going to continue with those same 5 big goals. We do recognise that AI provides huge opportunities, and Yadvinder will be continuing to work with us and lead the steering group to think about how can AI support greater equity and inclusion, and really think about what are the recommendations that we can take forward. I am here all week, so if you would like to talk to me, please do come and find me. We want to hear as many voices as possible. We are developing a suite of training that will that builds on work that we've already done in China, but will be extended to South America. And we've actually just agreed some exciting opportunities for Africa. Can't tell you about those just yet because we need to tell the people we've agreed those with. But there will be lots of training and support for people outside of the UK to try and engage with more resources and more support in accessing international funding and publishing. And the final thing that we will be working on in 2025 is really growing our networks. And we are keen to talk to as many people as possible to really work across the ecological societies at a global level to think about how we can collaborate and support the ecological community as a whole. I am more than happy to take questions at any stage, but I will do that after the AGM. You can come and find me on the stand at any stage. Okay. I think my role is to now hand over to Marcus.
Thank you. It's the bit you've all been waiting for. The statement of the financial accounts of the Society. How do I change? Yes, I know. There we go, some appreciation. I like this. Just as a reminder, we are looking at the 2023 accounts because that is the cycle that we work on. For those of you who don't remember 2023, this was the year, of course, of Barbie. To give you a bit of a signifier, and these are the accounts that have been approved by our auditors Hayes McIntyre and have subsequently been published on the Charity Commission website at Companies House and are also available to download through the BES website and have been for the last 6 months or so. So I'm going to assume that everyone here has now read the accounts of the Society, yes? Good. Then you'll have seen that this year we had a new, more exciting, engaging format with new informative text that was more inspiring. So did everyone enjoy the new style annual accounts that we did? Great. It's nice to have this feedback. It makes me feel like it's worth doing. Thank you. So to move on then, please look at them if you haven't done so already. And even if you haven't, please vote on them.
Proposer and seconder.
We need a proposer and seconder to accept the accounts. Bill is straight up to accept the accounts, and Fran seconder. Thank you very much. And now you can all vote to accept the annual accounts, please. I will, after this, be available to sign commemorative editions. They make an excellent gift for all ages. Come on, let's get it to 100. It makes me feel better about it. We're stalling at 73. Are you happy with that, Hazel? I think that is
74.
as close to unanimous as we're going to get, isn't it?
I got 90.
It's not a competition, Bridget.
Just saying.
I'll just give you a quick overview then of what happened in 2023, because it did mark quite a significant departure from the way that our finances have operated in previous history. We earned a lot of money, just over 5 million, and we also spent a lot of money, over 5 million. There's a few points of this I'll just emphasise to you. One is publications still make up the overwhelming majority of our income. More than 80% of our income comes from publishing our journals, and that is what supports everything else that we do. So we don't publish journals to make money, we do it so that we can invest in the ecological community. And that means that in 2023 we actually had our highest ever spend on research grants. As you can see there, 772,000 on grants and awards. So we are supporting the ecological community. We're also supporting policy work and education work, all of which of course doesn't earn any money. And even our membership and our meetings are subsidised by that publication income, which means that each and every one of you, just by sitting here, is costing us money. Thank you. There's also a major difference here, which is about 15 years ago we made a decision that we were going to start building an investment fund, because at the time there was a suspicion that the whole publishing model of academia was going to collapse with open access publishing, and we needed to do something to buffer ourselves against that. And so we started building an investment fund, which was a piece of work I think we are now closing off in terms of we're no longer making a surplus every year. And what you see here is a switch to a new balance of operations in which we are going to be approximately cost neutral. And I'd like you to take away from this slide that this balance between income and expenditure shows exceptional financial management. It doesn't, because actually I thought we were going to make a loss this year. So this is kind of a fluke that we've ended up in a balance. But I'd still like you to walk away with that impression, if you could, please. What we've done with that money is to place it in a series of investment accounts which are tied to ethical and environmentally sustainable criteria for investment. So we use this fund not only as a security for the long-term future of the society and to generate some additional revenue, but so that we can proactively invest in those sectors where we think that the BES money can make a difference. Our investment fund last year, it was all bad news, wasn't it? We had a bit of a crash in 2022, and then in 2023 we had a bit of a stable growth through the majority of the year. We didn't benefit from the big AI boom as much as the general stock market. For those of you who are keen stock market watchers, most of the growth was in the big seven. We didn't get all of that, but we've done fairly well in 2023. And as you can see, a bit of a surge towards the end. So the investment funds are doing very well, and they give us a long-term confidence in the persistence of the society. With that, I'm going to move on to the final point of business that I have, which is that I would like you to delegate to the Board of Trustees the authority to appoint the auditors for the 2024 accounts. This is just a procedural thing. Can I have a proposer and a seconder, please, for this? Very simple. I can't see at the front here. Who have we got?
Julia and
Julia.
Julia. Laura. It's Laura. Excellent. So what we need to do is, all this is saying is let us appoint the auditors, and then you don't need to worry about it anymore. So please vote to say, yes, you can appoint the auditors. I'm not expecting this one to be quite as popular. It doesn't engage people as much, does it? Okay, I think that's my business concluded. So, are you ready for your headline act? Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorary Secretary of the British Ecological Society, Dr. Rob Brooker.
It's great. Fewer gags, Marcus. Definitely the warm dripping on the dry crust of financial reporting. So I don't have any slides. I don't have any Mentimeter voting, but I do have a brief summary of the activities of the Society for the year, and I think we're doing all right for time. Is that right? Because it's a very, very efficient AGM this year. So there we go. So I'd like to thank the heads of the teams at the BES, Karen, Andrea, Joanna and Benjamin, for providing the information that I'm going to tell you about now. There's been a lot of great stuff that's happening over the year. This is just some selected highlights. The full details will be in the notes for the meeting if you're interested to hear what's going on in a range of areas. But I'll work through the various teams and give you some of the highlights, because there's a lot here that we should be proud of as a society, and it's important for you as the members to know what's going on in the background that helps the society make the most of your membership fees and all the work that you do for the generation of income through the publications as well. So in terms of communities and inclusion, you've heard a little bit about some of this from Karen. At the beginning of 2024, we launched a new grants portfolio, which is fantastic, and made a commitment to giving 51% of our grant funding allocated to the Global South. We're still in year one of this new grant scheme, but so far we've met and gone beyond this target. So that's a really important move. The symposium in June this year on resilient landscapes for people, nature and climate brought together 8 organisations and 172 academics. And that's brilliant, again, to see the relationship between what the society's doing and some of the key issues which we're facing at the moment, which need to be worked on at the landscape scale, as we heard from the plenary speaker this morning. With education and careers, 2024 was the 10th birthday of the BES undergraduate summer school, and there have now been over 500 students in that time which have passed through that summer school activity, which is fantastic. And as an example of the kind of impact, part of the feedback that was received on this was the statement, before this trip, I wasn't sure if I could be an ecologist and had a lot of doubts. And now I know which career path I want and feel excited about the future. And that's a phenomenal impact to have on people at the start of their career. So brilliant to see the impact that we're having there. Community groups, again, Karen mentioned this. We've changed how we're supporting our existing and new community groups. We've got 2 new networks which have been founded. There's the ELM network for emerging leaders and managers, and they'll be having an absolutely splendid workshop tomorrow lunchtime. I can thoroughly recommend that. And also the Cascade network, and that's going to be for those interested in activism and advocacy. So some new areas that we're exploring and moving into. And we've also got still our special interest groups, 16 of those. And this evening you can come along to the Meet the SIGs event, and tomorrow evening it's Meet the Network. So if you're interested in being part of the SIGs, the special interest groups or the networks, please do come along. Those SIGs and networks need your input to make them run and make them function and make them deliver what you need. So it'd be brilliant to see as many of you there as possible. Okay. If we look at policy and communications, the Policy and Communications Directorate has enjoyed a busy year again, and the team is poised to complete what's called the Transformation Project. It's an ambitious piece of work that spanned the entire year, and it's delivered a refreshed brand following in-depth audience analysis and a new website which has gone live. So you can see the impact of that at this meeting, and it's brilliant to see the brand coming through. It's launched in early December. We've got a new look niche, a new look annual review, and the social media account branding and membership assets are also being updated. This is linked to the wider work that's been going on in the policy and communication teams about centralising the way the BES creates and delivers its content so that we have a more unified look and our brand is more widely recognised. Some other highlights on activity for 2024, we've had the Regenerative Agriculture Report, and that's being finalised now. I know a lot of work's gone into that, and it's really good that that is coming out, and it's incredibly timely. There's been workshops on the cumulative ecological effects of offshore wind. This is in the policy team, monitoring diseases in the natural environment, and DEFRA's species abundance indicator, amongst others. So lots of policy activity ongoing and increasing demand for the BES to be a partner in that work. And we've had a 110% increase in media coverage, which is great because that, increasing the profile of the society, getting it to be known as a recognised brand, then increases our leverage in the extent to which people want to work with us and our messages can have impact. So if we talk a bit about publications, earlier this year the board agreed to transition functional ecology to a fully gold open access journal, and functional is the second of the Society's journal portfolio to make this change following methods in ecology and evolution. And we recognise that transitioning a journal in this way to fully open access is not a decision to take lightly, and that open access fees can have an impact on some authors, preventing them from submitting when they can't have access to read and publish agreements. But there is a BES waiver policy in place, and that sits on top of a range of other waiver policies and support. So if anyone that's interested in publishing in those journals and is struggling, please have a look at the detail of the potential funding that could be there to help you. We have an exceptionally high number of editors and associate editors attending the conference this year, and the journal teams are organising a speed review session on Thursday during the poster session. So if you have a burning question about a possible submission, which you might want to put into one of the journals, please come and sign up at the BES stand. That sounds like quite an interesting event. So yeah, thoroughly recommend that. And many of you in the room are authors, editorial board members or reviewers for our journals, and a big thanks to all of you, because as Marcus has highlighted, the money that comes through that publication process is really, it's the engine room of the society. We do a lot of other things to raise funding, and we try to diversify our funding streams, but that makes such a huge difference to everything that we can do, and you're hearing about at the meeting. So thanks for all your work there. And finally, a little bit on personnel and operational issues within the Society's team, the staff complement. So last year we had a relatively high staff turnover, and I think like many organisations we had a period of post-COVID change where people wanted to move on. They've been waiting for a few years, but things have really stabilised now, and we've got our new staff structure and new staff are bedding in, and that's helping us to really deliver on the strategic plan. Another thing that I think we should really celebrate is the implementation of the 4-day week model. This is now permanent in the Society, has been lauded by all staff, and there's a 100% opt-in rate. So that's, I think, really an excellent thing that the Society's done, and we now have the lowest sickness absent rates that the Society's ever had. So, correlation is not causation, but that's a really interesting statistic, and we'll keep following that up as we move forward. And then finally, in terms of operations, it's been a bit of a rocky year, and there was a flood in the lower ground floor basements of the offices in January, for those of you that weren't aware. But that has now been repaired. All meeting rooms and the prayer and wellbeing spaces are up and running again. And staff have been incredibly patient throughout, and we are now working with the insurers to reclaim the costs of that. So it's great that that has been sorted, and actually I think the Society's worked hard to turn it to its advantage in terms of making changes to things like IT arrangements and video conferencing technology. So there we go. That's a brief roundup. As I say, there'll be more detail in the report of the meeting, but I'd just like to finish off by saying a huge thanks to all of the staff and volunteers who have worked so hard over the last 12 months. We really are a lively and vibrant and well-structured and efficiently operating society who can focus on delivering for ecologists and our wider aims. So thank you all very much for everything that you do, and in terms of nurturing our science and our ecological community. And I think now I hand back to Bridget. Is this right? Right, thank you very much.
So we're in the final run home here. So we have now come to the point of sharing with you the outcome of the election of the BES Board of Trustees. Now, we had 5 positions up for either election or re-election. And this was conducted through an online ballot. And it was for the roles of President-elect, who takes over from me, Vice President and Chair of the Grants Committee, Honorary Secretary, Chair of the BES Events Committee, and the Ordinary Trustee. The Ordinary Trustee is the one that represents the colleges who sits outside of higher education and the research institutes. And the great news is that over 1,000 of you voted, for which we're really grateful, because that really does make us feel that you're engaged and you really want to have people on the board that you look up to and that you know you can trust. So thank you so much to everyone for doing that. And it gives me huge pleasure to now read out who was successful in that vote. So the President-elect is Mel Austin. She will bring a new insight into marine and coastal work onto the board. The Vice President and Chair of the Grants Committee is Carolyn Howe. Rob Brooker somehow, no idea, got re-elected as the Honorary Secretary, and he gives such superb support of our 40+ staff and volunteers, as you have just heard. Laura Graham is re-elected as Chair of the BES Events Committee, who are responsible for programming and designing everything that you've experienced and will be experienced for the next 3 days. So great to have Laura back on board. And Claire Pinches is elected as the Ordinary Trustee, who, as I said, represents the ecologists who sit outside of higher education and the research institutes. Can we please put our hands together and congratulate everybody who's going to... These people are giving up their time for free for their love of the society and to try and contribute. So let's not, it is quite a commitment, and we're really grateful to everyone who not only finally got through, but for everyone who's willing to put themselves up for election. It's quite a big thing to put yourself up to an election like this, where it was actually the choices. So I'd also now like to thank 3 of our trustees who are stepping down. And our huge thanks to all 3 of them for their time and many contributions over the last 3 years. They are Yadvinda Mali, Mark Emerson, and Stuart Clark. And unfortunately, Zen Lewis, who's the Chair of our Education and Careers Committee, for personal reasons has asked to step down. So we are losing Zen as well, which we are also very sad about. But it's just to let you know there will be an open process to replace Zen, and that call is still open and out, and it shuts on Monday, the 6th of January at 9 a.m. So that is to be Chair of Education and Careers Committee. So if you're interested in that or think someone would be good, then please do send them to the website to have a read at what the roles and responsibilities are. So can I also ask you to put your hands together to thank those people for all their time and contributions. So we're well ahead of schedule because any other business was supposed to be submitted and nothing was submitted. But of course, if anything springs to mind, please email BES, I think, actually. Do I have an email? Yes, you can email that, but of course we're all hanging out at the BES stand at various times. If you leave a message and say you want to speak to any of the people here or myself at the stand, they know how to contact us, but of course we're all available on the WOVA app as well. So if in listening to this you've got some ideas, what we should be doing more of, less of, please let us know. And it brings me to closing the AGM, and thank you so much for coming along. We really appreciate your time to just contribute to this very important business thing that we do have to do as for the Charity Commission and as a as a society. So enjoy your evenings, everybody, and thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye.
Re-elected on a mandate.